Hi guys. Firstly, I'd like to start by saying thank you so much for the amazing response we received on our previous video. Like you all know, we are coming up with a set of videos wherein we bring young engineers to share their real life engineering experience from various domains of engineering. We've covered telecommunication, and today we'll be covering electronics and communication. We hope to cover all the branches of engineering, starting from computer science, electronics, electrical, civil, chemical, mechanical, and also biotechnology. So yeah, that's the plan. And today we have with us my very good friend and I would say a successful young engineer, Tejaswini Kopalkar. So she is currently working in Synopsys and she'll tell you more about it. Let's just hear from her. So let's have a quick introduction to everybody on the channel and welcome to the channel, Tejaswini.
Thanks, Disha. Hi guys, I'm Tejaswini. I've done my bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering from BMSCE. I'm currently working as a digital design engineer in the VLSI domain in a company named Synopsys. It is known for EDA tools and IT business.
That's great. Okay. So I think my first question will be for somebody who wants to pursue electronics as their career, electronics and engineering. So what is electronics to them? What would you say what electronics is about to a layman?
Okay, so I think electronics is a term we are all aware of. It's basically the circuit-based devices or products that we may or may not come across in our daily lives. Be it, the resistors and capacitors you see when you break open a TV remote, or the millions of transistors that are there in an SoC in your laptop or mobile phone. All of it comes under electronics. It's basically playing with signals and doing some calculations or coding and making the data transfers happen as expected. It's all of that. Applications wise, you can see it in defense, in the medical field, in space technology, or in your daily consumer products, etc. Um, During the engineering course, the subjects are um, okay, they can be mainly divided into three domains: the embedded systems, VLSI, and networking. We shall discuss more about that further.
Okay, so these are like the core subjects to be focused on through electronics. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I would ask that I would ask a follow-up question there. Like, how important is it in terms of projects, internships, and courses? These courses that you talked about, how important it is to have an internship or do a project or have any kind of technical understanding here?
Okay, so projects, internships, and courses. I'll first talk about projects. I think that it's the most important among the three because, okay, why it's important is the first and foremost thing an interviewer does when you're attending an interview is go through your educational qualification and then immediately the technical projects that you've done. So try to do as many projects as possible in all the core subjects, be it as a part of your curriculum, as many projects, or during your spare time or vacations. Projects really help you gain some practical knowledge because unless you're able to do something practically and relate some theoretical knowledge to it, it's difficult to appreciate the subject and retain the knowledge. So projects are very important. Two easy ways of doing projects. One, of course, the internet. There are a lot of resources out there. You can pick up existing projects and implement them, or you can implement your own idea by getting some basic knowledge from the net.
Correct.
Second, approach teachers. Teachers are very helpful. If you request them to guide you over a project, they will be more than happy to do it. So these are the two most common ways. Second, coming to internships. Internships, like all of us know, it's a great value addition to our resume.
Yeah.
And more than that, it's a good learning process for you to experience how the actual industry works. And it's okay if you're not able to give back much to the company or the organization you're interning with. The learning matters there. So it's good for you also because you can choose if, okay, does this domain suit me or should I shift to another domain? So internships help that way. And try to have two internships. And beyond that, I think projects are important because
Yeah.
even during an internship, you basically work on a project. Coming to courses, I wouldn't say that they're as important as projects and internships. Courses and workshops are basically, if it totally depends on your personal interest. If you want to dig deeper into a field and learn more about it, then go ahead, do courses, attend workshops, read through research papers. But that, yeah, your personal interest should drive it.
That's great.
ML and AI, for example, are great courses you can do because the industry currently it's moving towards machine learning and artificial intelligence. So courses in those are always a value addition, but of course, not more important than the basic project.
Okay, yeah. So I have this curious question from your ML and AI reference. That are basic programming languages and like even like advanced programming languages really required for an electronics and communication engineer? I mean, is it all linked together?
Yes, electronics does not mean only hardware.
Right.
Any hardware that exists, there has to be some software that goes into it for it to work, right? In fact, in VLSI, we write software, we do coding in order to design the hardware. So hardware and software are interlinked and basically they're two faces of the same coin. So an electronics student should be well focused on both the aspects. Not all electronics core jobs are revolving around hardware only, it's software also. So coming
Okay.
to programming languages in particular, C programming is a must. Um, any electronics company also during your interviews, they will test your basic C programming, just the basics like up to pointers, for example. Having extra knowledge in it, like data structures, etc., is always a value
Sounds
addition.
good.
Yeah. Apart from C programming, it is good if you are familiar with or you've had experience in scripting languages like Tcl or Perl, but usually interviewers do not expect that at college graduate level. However, Python is a very important language because even companies know that students these days are well involved in Python programming, and the industries are also slowly transitioning from Tcl and Perl towards Python. So C programming and Python are the basic ones that you should know. Apart from this, if you are also focusing on CS jobs, then of course knowing C++ and OOPS concepts, all of this is very important. If you are very focused into the embedded systems domain, then embedded C is a must language for you to know. And of course, VLSI domain, you should know your Verilog or VHDL and your system Verilog pretty well. So these are about the programming language.
Yeah, so either way, it's all important and interlinked, right? That's the point. Okay. So I know for a fact that even if you wouldn't say it, that Synopsys is a great electronics company coming from its development of EDA tools or IB business. So I want to know the secret behind Synopsys. In other ways, how would you say, how would you prepare? Like, what is the message you would want to give our juniors? How would you prepare for an electronics and communication core company?
Okay, so for core companies, I consider two things to be very important. First, being the basic technical knowledge, and second, good problem solving skills. So I'll talk about the technical knowledge. Like I mentioned, there are three main domains, right? All of these domains are related to the subjects you've studied throughout your course. So the moment you're able to correlate the subjects you're studying with the domain it is associated with, you're halfway through. Otherwise, you'll just be blindly studying your subjects without knowing what the practical usage of those subjects are in real life. So be aware of what you're studying, and placements wise, you have to be thorough with your basics. Interviewers do not expect anything beyond basics from college graduates. So basics not in just the subjects related to the domains, but also other subjects. I've seen few mass recruiting companies picking up questions from subject not related to the company's role. They just try to test your interest or see how well focused you were during your course. The
Correct.
basics are very important, as well as the ones in the belonging to the domain. Second, coming to problem solving skills, electronics is a field which is closely linked to mathematics and logical thinking and problem solving. So hence that's why programming questions are also an important part in your interviews because they help the interviewer test your logical thinking. So be well prepared with your aptitude. Even your aptitude score matters a lot during your interview process. So you should have good logical thinking and you can definitely work on that. So these two are very important.
Okay, okay. So I think my next question is also going to be more like on the placement line of electronics. Like, okay, you told us how you'd prepare for it or how we should prepare for it. What do you think are the common pitfalls or like the mistakes that engineers in the making actually make during an interview, or and also take us through a round of all the rounds of engineering in electronics placement?
Okay. So I would like to talk about the general mistakes made around the interview process, not just in the interview. So the first thing is resume. One common advice is to please get your resume in a presentable format, in a nice structured way, because your resume is all the interviewer knows about you. He knows nothing about you beyond the resume, right? So get that right. Second, be confident. Um, if you're not confident, you tend to go blank, and even if you know answers to something, you'll skip it, and you'll end up not answering it. So it's always good to work on your confidence and have mock interviews before your with your friends or someone with just for practice.
Yeah.
The third thing, which I feel is very important, is to have good listening skills, because the interviewer, it's not like the interviewer keeps talking and you just listen. Um, I mean, they ask you questions and you keep talking. So it's the other way also. They'll see how well you listen to their question, understand it, and then answer. So being calm and listening to them well, being open to them is a good thing to do. And the last thing I would like to say is try no matter what, even if you're not very sure of the solution or the answer to the question they've asked you need to try and put efforts. uh, they know that some questions can be beyond your knowledge as a college graduate, but they will only see how well you're trying to answer it. So never give up on a question, stick to it, answer well. Of course, if you're really not able to do, they will jump to the next question, but always show that you're putting efforts to answer it. That matters a lot.
Yeah.
These are, yeah, common interview related things. The rounds per se, um, okay, electronics companies, it's usually just a written test and then interviews. All the intimidating group discussions, presentations, I've usually not seen. So written test, yeah, the first section is usually aptitude, and then the technical knowledge, and third, there may or may not be programming. So these are the important parts of a written test. And then comes interviews, usually directly after written test. Interviews can be for like 2-3 rounds, or some companies go to 4 or 5 rounds. It's totally dependent on the company.
Okay, okay, that's great. That's a lot of information, but that's a lot of useful information. I hope all you EC engineers in the making are listening to this. Yeah, okay. So you've already told us about like the fact that the CS is actually linked to pretty much all the branches and EC to a great extent. So how do you think these software companies like look at EC engineers? Like, of course, I don't know, do they give them preference, or is it like, what do you think? What has your experience been?
Okay, so as far as I've seen, software companies don't usually discriminate between circuit branches and CS or IS. Of course, the companies which offer very large pay scale, like 30 LPA or 40 LPA, those restrict the branches to only CSIS. But
Yeah,
all the other good software companies also, they are open to other branches as well. Especially EC is usually allowed.
that's really great. Yeah.
But the responsibility is on you to actually prepare well in the programming part too. Like you need to be competitive enough with the CSIS students. You need to know your C++ or Java or your OOPS concepts well, and you should have good programming practice in order to be
Yes.
competitive.
Okay. So as far as I understand, I think you've given us an insight on the technical part as to how to engineer the right way from an EC point of view. I want to ask you, are there anything else that we like actually any EC engineer requires to, become a successful EC engineer? Is it only the technical part aspects of it? Like I get the project internships and everything and the core technical knowledge, but is that it, or like is there any other thing that's important for a good profile?
Okay, so a good profile is important for you yourself as a person rather than the company you're attending an interview for.
Absolutely.
It'll basically help you boost your confidence, because without the interview phase, the placement phase is a pretty challenging phase, and it's challenging if you're not confident. And when are you not confident? When you don't really have the skills to tackle the challenges that come along your way. So
Exactly.
the 4 years of engineering course that we go through, it's a golden opportunity. It's a perfect time for you to come out of your shell, do some networking, get to know people, get to know the world a little better, and then you can step into your professional career with a lot of confidence. So that way, you can always work on communication, teamwork, leadership, all of this. Have a good rapport with your teachers, with your batchmates, with your seniors. That's very important. Participate in all your extracurriculars. But yes, there should be a balance between your academics and extracurriculars. A compromise on either of them will not be good. Try to have a balance there. And what happens when you network is mm, you can always take part in the projects that are happening in your college. You can, all of your, most of your labs will have softwares or some design tools or simulation tools from different companies. You can, and these are usually not always covered in your syllabus. So only when you network, when you start involving yourself in these co-curricular activities, that you'll get an opportunity to work on all the other available opportunities too. I mean, other available activities. So it's really good to build a good profile and come out of your shell.
Okay, that's great. So I think we've got a lot of information and advice for all the electronics and communication and related circuit branch kids out there, like engineers in the making. So thank you so much, Tejaswini, for sharing all of your experience, all of your knowledge, and actually helping all the juniors there. It's so great that you took your time and gave all the advices you can. And thank you for joining us. I hope you liked it.
Thank you. Yes, it was a good experience for me. I hope this helps people engineer the right way. And you can always connect with me on LinkedIn or any other platform. I would love to share more experience or knowledge with you guys.
Yeah. So that's been Tejaswini from the electronics and communication domain. I'd like to say thank you to her again. And also, I hope you guys like the kind of content we share. And if you do, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.